So YouTube Apple iDev here. Sorry it's been so long with a tutorial, especially in this series. It has been a long time since you guys got something new, and I'm terribly sorry about that. Life has been crazy. I just haven't gotten time to make new tutorials. With applying to college and all that fun stuff, go team. So, with that, what I'm first going to ask you guys to do is, before watching this video, watch the video that I posted about modern Objective-C. Because there have been a lot of new updates, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to change all of my code to reflect the changes in modern Objective-C. But the downside to that is you don't know what I just did. So, yeah, you need to do that. So you need to watch that video and understand what all of this is that I'm doing. And alright, is there anything else I needed to change? That needs to stay the same. These can all disappear. Alright, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to make a preference pane and how to actually use preferences effectively. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to need to drag on a window. Let's find a window. Excellent, window. And this window is going to be small, because we're only going to have two preferences in it. So what we are going to do is, next thing we're going to do is we're going to look for checkbox, and we're going to drag on two separate checkboxes, and we're going to center them. And the first one is going to say button 1 enabled, and the second one is going to say button 2 enabled. You guessed it. Alright, so what we need to do now is, in order to use these preferences, we need to link them obviously to the preferences button in our menu. The one thing I'm going to do that we haven't done yet is we are going to just delete these other menus that we're not using, because we don't need them. So what we're going to do is you're going to select preferences, and you are going to control drag to this window until the entire thing is highlighted. You don't want the view, you want also the title bar in there and everything. And you'll know because it'll say window, window down there. And once you do that, you're going to select this option over here, make key and order front. It should be the second one down. And you're going to click on that, and you see it made a new connection. The other thing we're going to do is we want to change the title of the window to Preferences. And voila, we have our preference window. Now, the only thing that we need to do actually now is we need to go into our assistant editor, and what we need to do is we need to go into, not our NS application file, we need to go into our appdelegate.h file. In this appdelegate.h file, we're going to create two methods. Actually, we'll create two methods. So the first method is going to be, they're both going to be, again, actions, and it's going to be the name of the action is just going to be, I don't know, button 1 enabled check. And we'll connect that, and we're going to do the same thing with button 2. Make it an action, we'll say button 2 enabled check. And what we're going to do is we are now going to go back to our main editor, and we'll save that, save our .h, and we'll go into our .m file. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, all we're going to do is we're going to toggle whether each button is enabled. So with the button 1 enabled check, all we're going to say is, we'll say b1 dot set enabled, I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Let's see. I have to do it this way. Okay, so it'll be set enabled, and then this is actually going to be, oh, that's right, we need to create properties. So for one sec, we're going to come back here, and we're going to open up the assistant editor again, and we're going to create properties, B1 check, and we'll create one here called B2 check. And voila. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're going to come back here, and we're going to say, set enabled, B1, and that's going to be B1 check dot enabled. And what that's going to do is it's going to set the status of button 1 to whatever the checkbox is. If the checkbox is enabled, then actually it should be is on. No, is. Where do we have it? What am I looking for? I believe it is enabled, but no, it's not. Well, we'll actually, we don't even need to do that because it's going to start as checked. So actually, what we're going to do is we're just going to say, not underscore b1 dot is enabled, because that's just going to flip the status, because both of the buttons are going to start as enabled, and so will the checkboxes. The checkboxes will start as checked. So theoretically, what that's going to do is it will effectively make sure that that the button and the checkbox always line up, which is how we're going to do the same thing with B2. So theoretically, if we save and run, this should work. So you can see, first of all, that the menu items we didn't want disappeared, and the keyboard shortcut for preferences works. And what we're going to try is we're going to say button 2 enabled does indeed disable button 2, and you can enable it and disable it as you wish, and the same thing with button 1. And what you'll notice is, if we do that, the keyboard shortcut for button 1 no longer works. It effectively disables the button completely, just as you would expect it to work in a native Mac application. So this is a native Mac application, so that works well. So that was today's tutorial. I know it's a relatively simple and short tutorial, but enabling and disabling objects through methods is something you're going to need to be able to do, because as users click buttons and do different things in your application, you're going to need to respond with enabling and disabling objects accordingly. So it's an important skill to have, kind of a menial one, but important. So that's all for now. Check back later for more tutorials. Thanks.